We're going to be joined in the next segment by Gerald Celente, Trends Journal, and he's going to analyze for us what he sees happening in China. We're going to talk a little bit about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the rise of Chinese hegemony, what they're doing with their Navy. And we're also going to talk about what's going on in Iran, so don't miss that. Stay tuned for this. Now, we've had a lot of information, like I mentioned just before the break, about how Obama and company are dictating to the American public exactly what they can and cannot do. And we had a caller, or actually somebody wasn't a caller, somebody who talked to Alex and made him want to call in and talk to us about how they were concerned that we were very negative about things, made them feel bad because we pointed out what was really happening in the world. And we've had Dr. Sharkey on just talking about killer robots. Do you not want to know what's happening in the world? Do you just want to go whistling through the graveyard, or do you want to be informed so you can actually do something about it? And we talked yesterday and today about juries. Listen to this particular case here. We've got a 16-year-old who was jailed at Rikers Island in New York for 3 years without a trial. This is why the legal system is important. This is a teen who spent 3 years, 400 days of it in solitary confinement. Now, he is now filing a lawsuit in New York City, and he was just mysteriously let go. He said that they brought him into case. First of all, he was arrested because they suspected him of being involved in a robbery as he was walking home from a party in the Bronx. So he was arrested, taken to Rikers Island, which is a pretty rough prison in New York. And he was held because he couldn't pay the $10,000 bail. He went to court on several occasions, but he was never scheduled for trial. And after 33 months in jail, he said a judge offered him freedom in exchange for a guilty plea, threatening that if he didn't take the plea bargain, that he could face 15 years in jail if convicted. But he refused. And then one day they came in, they never gave him a trial. They never even charged him with anything. They held him for 3 years. One day they came in and just released him with no explanation. He said they dismissed the case and they think it's all right. No apology, no nothing. Well, good for him. He's suing them, but we need to hold these people accountable. When we see things happening with police abuse, at the very least, that police department needs to have fines that are taken out in lawsuits. That needs to come out of their budget. As it is right now, it's the taxpayers who are being penalized, who are having to pay for these lawsuits because of abuses of the police. The police are not getting any personal fines as they should, and the police department itself is not even getting any fines. But this guy, this 16-year-old, hung tough. He did not take the plea bargain. People need to do that. They need to stand up for their rights. They need to demand a jury trial. They need to not take a plea bargain. They realized at this point, I think, after 33 months of holding this guy in jail, they realized that, hey, this is really going to blow up in our face. We need to get this guy to sign a paper. We'll let him go, and it'll just disappear. Because they never charged him with anything, and he never got his jury trial. And so many people, when faced with, they're telling him, you're going to stay in jail for another 15 years because we're going to find you guilty. He knew they couldn't find him guilty. He had that kind of confidence, and enough confidence in the system of jurors. Do you think he would have thought that he would be found guilty if he was just going to be standing before a single judge? And yet that's what we see increasingly happening in America at all levels. We see that it's just a single judge. It's not a jury trial as the Constitution demands. We have single judges in tax court or in traffic court or whatever. You need to demand a jury trial. But the most frightening thing is not just that they're intimidating people into waiving their jury rights and taking a plea bargain, but the most frightening thing to me is that we have this secretive FISA court, which meets in secret, which creates edicts in secret that they pretend alter the Constitution, and the public is never even allowed to see it, and there's no one arguing the other side of the case, and there's no jury, and yet what's on trial? Our basic fundamental constitutional rights. We'll be right back with Gerald Celente. Stay tuned.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.